What's going on, everybody? It is D Got Sense back on the D Got Sense show with episode 7. And the topic of today's episode is evil comes in many forms. So, we've all heard the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. And truth be told, it's literally a half truth, right? Because to pretend that presentations don't matter is to basically ignore all of our human instinct. You know what I mean? Never in your life have has your body allowed you to trust someone that looked suspicious. It never happens, right? Even in movies and TV series and shows, the person that is always very deceptive and manipulative, they're always very charming, right? Because everyone understands that presentation matters. Now, the question is, are you wrong for being duped? And the answer is no. Now, should you feel wronged for, or should you feel guilty for allowing it to happen? Absolutely, because you didn't read the book, right? So, judging a book by its cover is getting a complete summary based off of the appearance alone versus having a bias because of the covering and then continuing your investigation by reading into the book. You see what I'm saying? So, you've never taken advice from if a businessman is all scruffy, he look run down, don't even look like he know how to manage his personal hygiene, you're gonna think, man, how is this dude gonna handle my finances, right? That's why when you walk into certain establishments, everyone is very well groomed. You know what I mean? Their attire is well put together. So one thing we must understand is appearances do matter and they do tell a story, but they don't tell the whole story. And this is how people get bamboozled or hoodwinked by the many forms that evil comes in because they only stopped at the cover. And it's a very dangerous thing to not look below the surface, right? When you start looking below the surface, you quickly realize most people are very shallow. You understand me? And it is really an injustice to yourself to or to your it's an injustice to your future self to allow yourself to be so trusting. You know what I mean? And many people have gone into the ground and into a cage where they will forever be enslaved until their last day, all because they didn't understand the simple concept of evil comes in many forms. It doesn't matter if someone has the appearance of wealth, material wealth. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if someone has the appearance of status or stature. See, this is why you must follow the Most High Yah, the living God of Yasharel. You know what I mean? The living God of Israel. And I'm not talking about the people in the land today. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the the Elohim. You know what I mean? And even King David understood that a man's heart is going to reveal it all. You know what I mean? There were many prophets that understood this. You get what I'm saying? You cannot forego looking at someone's intentions. Like I've said in a previous video, people can all do the same action, but they'll have different intent behind the action that they just performed. Some people did it to get in your good graces. Some people did it out of the care and compassion in their heart. Some people did it to build up trust just so they can rip it from you later, right? But on the outside, on the exterior, the task looked they all looked the same, but the true intent, the true motive in the heart was very much different. You get what I'm saying? And when you look past the appearance and look at the heart, you start looking deeper into the soul and see and you realize you see the spirit of this person. All of a sudden, they're not as charming. They're not as beautiful. They're not as handsome. You see what I'm saying? Many men have gotten backdoored. They've gotten they've just gotten set up in the worst way imaginable, all because they looked upon a woman's beauty, and at no point did they look upon her righteousness. It's a very dangerous game to play. Women too. It's more common to see now in major cities where you have men chasing what the world perceives as beautiful women. They got all this cake on their face, and a whole bunch of winged creatures on their eyelashes. You know what I mean? And then you got these women running behind dudes that are all very material as well. And it just comes a point in time where you have to start prioritizing what's important and really balancing what's important and what's necessary versus your wants and needs. You know what I mean? You just gotta pretty much all I'm saying is you will have to sit down and start evaluating everything and everyone in your life in order to make sure that you're not allowing evil to come in a form that you never suspected. You get what I'm saying? And evil comes when you least expect it, right? Because usually when life's going really well, you don't expect anything to go wrong. That's just how the human brain works, right? Because you have basically had everything on easy mode and autopilot that you just it's kind of like when you're on a win streak. You never see it coming to an end, right? You know it'll happen, but you don't care in the moment, right? See, whenever life is going bad, all of a sudden you start to care about doing the right thing. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, you start caring about allowing yourself to to grieve and then actually do the appropriate steps and think. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna have to cut this one short, y'all. This was D Got Sense with episode 7. Evil comes in many forms. Hopefully, you all enjoyed this one. I'll probably pick up on this one another day. We'll see. We'll see. Because I had a lot more to say that I didn't touch on. But this is a short one. With that being said, it's D Got Sense from the D Got Sense show. This was episode 7. Hopefully, you all had a blast. Peace. I'm out.